We're living in a world that is always on. Our devices are basically our connection to everything. Work, friends, the news, you name it. But have you ever stopped to wonder what the hidden cost of being that connected really is? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack the reality of what's called digital stress, and, more importantly, figure out how to build a much healthier relationship with our tech. So let's just start with a really quick check-in, just for you. Think about your day so far. You've got your phone, your computer, the TV, maybe a smartwatch. How many hours are you actually looking at a screen? Just take a guess. There's no right or wrong answer here. This is really just about getting a baseline. And here's the follow-up. Deep down, would you like to spend less time staring at those gadgets? Do you ever get that, that nagging feeling that the balance is just a little bit off? That maybe you could be using that time for something else? If any of that sounds familiar, trust me, you are definitely not alone.
Okay, now for the big one, and be honest with yourself here. Who's really in control? Is it you, or is it your technology? Think about the last time a notification completely pulled you out of what you were doing, or that quick check of social media that somehow turned into an hour. This question, it really gets to the heart of it all. Are we using our tools, or are they using us?
And that tension, right there, that friction between wanting to be connected but feeling like we're losing control, well, that's what we're calling our digital dilemma. Of course, the upsides of all this tech are obvious. We wouldn't be using it if it didn't give us something, right? But it's those subtle, hidden costs that really creep up on us. They can impact our focus, our mood, our sleep, our whole sense of well-being, sometimes without us even realizing it's happening.
So what are these hidden costs exactly? Let's get real and break down some of the most common challenges that pop up when we're living these hyper-connected lives.
Have you ever tried to focus on something important, only to have a single buzz from your phone completely shatter your concentration? Well, there's some serious brain science behind why that happens. Your brain is basically running on ancient survival software. To your brain, any sudden sound, vibration, or flash of light is what's called salient. It stands out. It's important. This triggers a super-fast, subconscious alert pathway involving a part of your brain called the amygdala. This system reacts before your logical brain even has a chance to say, "Oh, I know what that is, it's just a text." See, your brain hasn't evolved to know the difference between a safe digital signal and a predator snapping a twig in the woods. The suddenness is more important than the content.
And on top of those constant interruptions, our brains are trying to drink from a non-stop fire hose of information. We've got emails, news alerts, social media updates, group chat messages. It's a massive cognitive burden we were never designed to carry. And it's no wonder it can leave us feeling just completely overwhelmed and mentally fried.
There's this pressure, isn't there? This unspoken rule that we have to be available and we have to be responsive, like all the time. This always-on culture just completely blurs the lines between our work life and our personal life, and it keeps our nervous system in this constant low-grade state of alert. It makes it almost impossible to ever truly switch off and relax.
The very things that make apps and platforms so engaging and fun, well, those same design tricks can also make them incredibly hard to put down. And for some people, that can cross the line from just a bad habit into a compulsive behavior, where that urge to check the phone becomes a real source of anxiety and distress.
Oh, and this one is huge. The blue light that our screens pump out can seriously mess with our body's natural sleep cycles. And all that stimulation from scrolling keeps our minds racing long after we've turned out the lights. And as we all know, when your sleep is bad, pretty much everything else suffers.
So when you put all of this together, the shattered concentration, the feeling of being overloaded, that pressure to always be online, the terrible sleep, you realize these aren't just separate random issues. They're all symptoms of a much bigger phenomenon: digital stress. Okay, so that's the problem. It sounds a little bleak, I know. But here's the good news. There is absolutely a solution. And it's not about throwing your phone in a lake. It's about finding a much smarter, better way to live with it. This is the path to digital well-being.
So what exactly is digital well-being? The key word here is that technology can be used to support and improve our lives. See, this isn't about avoiding tech. It's about using it in a way that actually makes us healthier and happier. It's a really positive and totally achievable goal.
So what does that look like in the real world? Well, it means we start focusing on the quality of our screen time, not just the quantity. It means being really aware of how our tech habits affect our mental and physical health. It's about finding a balance with all the other important parts of life and, actively taking steps to dial down the negative effects. And this is such an important distinction to make. Think about it.
An hour spent on a video call catching up with family is a completely different universe from an hour spent just mindlessly scrolling through angry comments online. The goal isn't some magic number of hours. It's about making the time we do spend with our screens more intentional, more mindful, and more beneficial.
So how do we actually do this? How do we get there? All right, let's roll up our sleeves and get practical. Let's talk about how you can start reclaiming your balance starting today. Turns out, this feeling has a name. It's called technostress. It's that specific brand of stress that comes from feeling like you just can't keep up with the constant demands of technology. And honestly, just being able to put a name to that feeling is a huge first step toward managing it.
And this quote here from the World Health Organization is absolutely key. Look, stress itself is a natural human response, and technology is going to keep changing and throwing new challenges our way. But the one thing we can control is how we choose to respond to it all. That's where our power is.
Maybe the biggest mindset shift we can make is this one right here. We need to stop thinking of our technology as some enemy that we have to fight against. Instead, what if we started seeing it as a relationship that we need to build and take care of? And like any healthy relationship, that means setting some clear boundaries and putting in conscious effort.
Look, you can't fix a problem if you don't really see it, right? So building this healthier relationship, it really just starts with paying attention, becoming aware of your current habits. And from there, you can decide on a few small, concrete steps you can take to make a positive change.
And that really brings us to our final thought for today. This does not have to be some massive life overhaul, not at all. Maybe it's just turning off the notifications for one single app. Or maybe it's deciding you won't look at your phone for the first 30 minutes of your day. The question isn't how to solve everything all at once. It's much simpler than that. What is the first small step that you are going to take?